What you are listening to is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in the squared circle. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Turnbuckle Debate.
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Turnbuckle Debate. My name is Sneed.
I'm Chad.
I'm Mike.
And we have a special guest joining us today from the Pro Wrestling Podcast. What's going on, David? How are you, man?
I am doing great, guys. How about you?
Doing good, man. Glad to have you on. It's good to have another wrestling fan on here to debate some fun wrestling topics. Tell everybody a little bit about your podcast, man.
All right, so it's in the name, the Pro Wrestling Podcast. So I talk about anything and everything wrestling. Lately, I've been doing a lot. I've been trying to dive into the interviewing world. So I've had a lot of interviews going under my belt, at least 4 now.
Nice.
Awesome.
And every Saturday, I'll do like a week review of like the week of wrestling with Bet the House podcast. So shout out to him. And yeah, you know, it's in the name. We just talk wrestling here.
I love the name.
Yeah.
It's just straight and to the point.
Straight. It'll let you know we know what we're getting, and that's what I like. I don't like the
Yeah,
I like
the
we
whole
don't mess
goal
around.
behind the name. That was like the whole origin. I'm like, you know, everybody has these, you know, these names that are kind of like
kayfabe names.
yeah, they're pretty good. Like the Turnbuckle Tavern, that's good.
Yeah.
Coming down the aisle. So I was like, you know, everybody has these names. Why don't I just like cut straight to the point? It's a pro wrestling podcast.
Let's cut out the middleman. Let's just talk about it. It's Pro Wrestling Podcast. That's what we do.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I think that's awesome.
So,
But yeah, man, we're glad to have you on. We have 3 debate topics that we're going to get into. We'll do 10, 15 minutes on each one. Once we get to the end of it, if we're going a little long, may hit you with a countdown. So, but if you guys are ready, is everybody ready to get into it?
Let's go.
All right. Well, then our first topic of the evening, should WrestleMania stick to 2 nights? So, you know, traditionally WrestleMania was always a one-nighter, and then here in the past few years, we've done 2 nights. So do they stick with 2 nights? How do we feel about this?
well, for me, I don't think they should stick to 2 nights. And
Okay.
I use the comparison a lot, and it doesn't hold true to a lot of things, but it holds true to me. Is could you imagine if they did the Super Bowl 2 nights in a row, or if they did the Super Bowl kind of like the how NHL does their series or how MLB does their series? I don't think it would work like that, because I think you lose the spectacle that is the Super Bowl, just like I think you would lose the spectacle that is a one-night WrestleMania, where, you know, you get storylines throughout that whole year that come to a conclusion sometimes just based off of WrestleMania alone. So I just think it should stick to 1 night. I don't think we should have 1 night of mediocrity, because that's usually what it is. Sometimes you get a lot of matches that don't really matter on the first night, just leading to the second night. And I couldn't imagine being a fan also buying a ticket and accidentally only buying one for like 1 night, and you didn't buy one for the second night. I would think as a fan, you would buy a ticket and, I don't know, be there for that once in a lifetime one show.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was going to be my point too, is, you know, if I'm a fan and I'm going,
If you guys know where I'm coming from, I think we blacked out there, but.
Oh yeah. But and what I was saying is I agree with that for sure, because that was going to be my point, is if you're a fan and you're buying, you know, if I don't have money for 2 tickets like that, like a ticket to WrestleMania, like for me, I've never been to a WrestleMania, and buying a ticket to WrestleMania would have been, or would be a big deal. So, but to do 2 nights, I think one, it takes away the luster of the event. And 2, I just don't think, I don't think it's fair to a lot of fans because there's a lot of fans that's not going to be able to afford 2 nights for WrestleMania.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. My whole thing with it is like, look, I get why WWE is doing this now. They're trying, and it's coming from some people could say it's coming from a selfish place because they're trying to get more money, but also I think I've heard stories from wrestlers talk about how Vince wants to get everyone on the card because it's a payday, man. A WrestleMania payday is a huge payday for a talent.
Sure. Yeah.
So by splitting it up into 2 nights, you are allowing more people to get on WrestleMania, but that is exactly why it should only be 1 night, is because Mania to me isn't the place to get everyone paid. Okay, good. Oh, we're all happy. Everyone's getting a payday. As a fan, I don't really give a shit. That's like letting 4 or 5 teams into the Super Bowl, to go off of David's analogy.
Yep.
To me, only the best of the best should be featured on Mania. It should be that should be what you shoot for as a wrestler, to make it to that Mania card. And I don't think everyone should be on there, every little shitty storyline. It should definitely be a 4, maybe 5 hour, 1 night event. Make it feel special. Because right now, like, I'm checked out on a 2 night Mania.
Oh,
because
sure.
no matter what you do, you're splitting you're putting a couple great matches on 1 night and a couple on the other, and then you're filling it with mediocre, watered down bullshit.
Sprinkle in the bullshit. That's what they
100%.
do.
Yeah. No, I listen, it's easy life analogy, but less is more. You know, it's more meaningful when there's only 7, 8 matches and not 20. It's not a trip to Disney. It should be, you go out of town, you stay there for the weekend, you go to the one show, you piggyback on all the other indie shows, enjoy yourself while you're there. I think during the pandemic it was maybe acceptable because there wasn't really too much going on.
yeah.
But outside of that, I don't like the 2-day thing. I don't like a show over 4 hours. I think it damages the quality of the product. You want quality over quantity always.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah.
Sticks with time. Yeah, it sticks with everything. It's matches, talent on the show. I don't want 15 storylines coming up in one show. Make it nice and easy to follow. Make it interesting. Make it captivating. Something that you keep your eye on the prize. Don't and like you said, Jab, the payday thing. I don't give a fuck about paydays, but even make it even better and make people earn it, because that'll make the talent work harder. You're screwing yourself over. It's
like a boxer or an MMA fighter. When they go to a fight, they have their show money and their win money.
Yep.
And that to me is what Mania is. You're not guaranteed a spot on Mania. You have to bust your ass and bring your all throughout the year in hopes to get that. So that's your win money.
Yeah.
If you show throughout the year and then you get that spot for that big payday, you've essentially won and you get that big payday.
Yeah.
Not everyone from top to bottom of the card should have some little spot so they get their chance to have that Mania moment. I mean, maybe I'm an asshole, but I don't think everyone deserves a fucking Mania moment.
No, they don't. I mean, look, we're not giving the Detroit Lions Super Bowl money.
It's the same thing as a fucking.
We're not doing that.
We're giving participation trophies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And WrestleMania is not the place to do that. If you want them to be featured in other pay-per-views, fine, so be it. But Mania should be creme de la creme.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If everybody gets a spot, then it doesn't, I think the point you're trying to make is it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
It waters down the business full through.
Cody Rhodes had a really good point about this. He was talking about the early AEW posters where they put a lot of people's faces on the posters.
Yeah.
And he said he was against it. He was against that philosophy because to him, when he was coming up, you had maybe the main event, co-main event people on that poster, and that was your goal. You wanted to work to become, I want to be on that poster.
Marquee.
Yeah, you want to be the
Yeah.
marquee name, and so it makes you work harder. Now, when everyone's being featured on it, it's kind of the same thing as Mania. Like, I don't know. I just don't. I don't like it. I think it's a further watering down. Now, I guess my question would be to you guys. A lot of people are comparing their move of making Mania 2 nights to New Japan doing Wrestle Kingdom, essentially their WrestleMania. Wrestle Kingdom is 2 nights. Do you think it's hypocritical to condemn WrestleMania for being 2 nights, but then people love Wrestle Kingdom being 2 nights?
Has Wrestle Kingdom always been 2 nights?
I don't think it's always been 2 nights. I guess the stark difference for me in that is Wrestle Kingdom usually their storylines from night 1 bleed over into night 2.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it correlates, where Mania doesn't feel like that to me. It's not like one guy's winning one match on night 1 to get to night 2 to do something,
Which this year with Mania, I was going to be in on that with Daniel Bryan if they did it the way that if he beat one, I forget how it would have gone, but he could have done. But instead, they made it the triple threat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But if they would have broken that up and bled the storylines between the two, then I would have been in on it. But you're not bleeding anything through. It's just match.
Right.
I don't like that. But since Wrestle Kingdom's doing that,
Right.
bleeding it over, it makes sense because you're getting a further continuation of what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. WWE is just like mechanical. So it's just like, you get women's match, battle royal, tag match, intercontinental championship match. There is no
and I'm positive
cross padding,
and I'm positive Wrestle Kingdom ain't doing pre-shows for both nights.
Right.
Yeah.
And red carpets.
And their product isn't as watered down as WWE. I mean,
right.
Their titles still, I would say New Japan titles have a little bit more prestige on them than WWE titles right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're pretty sacred to their product.
Yeah. And you're also getting like 45-minute matches. You're getting good quality content off of New Japan's side. WWE's like, it'll be a short squash match, and then it'll be like a 25-minute main event. It sucks.
So there's a difference right there. I mean, like basically, case in point, 2 nights. I don't know. I just don't. I get it. Like you guys said, I get it for the pandemic and stuff like that. For the times are hard, so certain circumstances call for certain measures. If that's how the saying goes, I don't know.
I mean,
but it's just now I don't get it.
No, I feel like this is a microcosm to a bigger issue. Like splitting it into 2 nights is essentially kind of a microcosm of the whole brand split thing, where like, we're you're splitting 2 brands, which instantly pigeonholes you into your matchups. Instead of having one big open roster and being able to play with all the toys and shift them away any way you wanted, now you're kind of confined to this one thing, where with Mania having it 2 nights, I feel like you're spreading the luster, like Sneed said, of the event thin, because you're giving too much when, like you guys said, it's the classic quality over quantity thing for me. I just 2 nights, it's like when you watch that first night, that Saturday night, or what do they do it on Saturday and Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So you watch that Saturday event and it's over. You've watched 4 hours of it and it's over. And then it's like, oh, there's another one the next night.
I'm fatigued at that point.
I don't care.
No.
It takes away the whole, like, when I was growing up, it was like you have a Mania party, have a bunch of people over, it becomes this big event. And now, like, do you pick one night and that's when you have the party, or do you do 2-night party? I don't know, man. It just
I can't imagine like if this would have happened back in the day, like if you would have saw Hulk Hogan slam Andre the Giant, him winning, and then there's another WrestleMania the next night.
Right, exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
That's a great point. I really thought about that. Like, how do you come back after something like that and do another event?
Right.
That's no way. No way. Well, I think the general consensus on this is that we all feel that WWE is really messing up the soup by doing.
I mean, like I said, I tried to play devil's advocate. I get that they're trying to give everyone a payday.
Yeah.
I think that's admirable, but at the end of the day, the fans don't care about fucking paydays. Like, I want a big special WrestleMania, and 2 nights doesn't make it special.
I do not care whose lope is padded. So, all right, we're going to move on to the next topic if you guys are ready. So, our next topic of the evening is reuniting Top Flight a good or bad idea? Because as of right now, Darius has been gone. Dante has been just on fire right now, but it's almost time. I mean, we can see the inner workings right now. So is it a good time? Is it a right thing to put them back together?
With Dante being on a
tear.
Incredible tear right now.
It's just, that's the reason why, man, it's such a good topic. I can't even, it's just the reason why, like, I don't know. Like, will Dante, my problem is if Dante shows up and they want to reunite the tag team again, does all that momentum I'm sorry, Dante, not Dante. What's his name? Darius. If Darius shows up and reunites with Dante, and will Dante lose all his momentum that he's been gaining since he's been gone? You know, like it just comes to a complete halt because he's been killing it in singles, and if they just go back, like, I don't think anybody's gonna really care.
I feel that.
I definitely see that.
They run the risk of that for sure.
They definitely do. If what's going on right now with Leo Rush, if this is a whole setup to bring back Darius, I like what they're doing, and I think they should get them back together. I think the momentum that Dante has right now is going to elevate them since he's been gone. I mean, he may have ring rust, but I do feel like if they bring him back in this storyline with Leo Rush, I think it definitely will elevate the tag team.
I just feel like he's on this huge run. Like, he's easily, to me, a TNT championship contender.
Yeah.
He's proven himself worthy on numerous occasions. And I just feel like him going back would be like a demotion. You know what I mean? I don't know. Because now you got to build up their record. He's already established his record, which is, I mean, he's been losing, but you know what I mean? He still puts on banger matches.
Absolutely.
But
I would like him to see, like, get them reunited, but Leo's kind of like, you're better than this, man. He's only dragging you down, and they get into like a little bitty feud. Give us a good payoff with it. Then maybe separate them.
I do get where they're trying to get with it. Like, obviously, Leo Rush is probably going to be a thorn to Dante's side, and then his brother's going to come in and
rescue him. Or
yeah. But that's interesting to me. I just like Dante alone as a singles competitor.
Yeah,
Dante's great, and he could be a champion. Future's bright.
Because then what do you do if you wanted to do something like that? If you wanted to push him as a single star, then you got to split them up again, right?
Yeah. But here's the thing, dude. This kid's 20 years old. He just turned 20. Like, Top Flight didn't even scratch the fucking surface. And people forget, because Dante is by himself showing out like a madman. People forget Darius was right there with him.
Yeah.
I mean, Darius is extremely talented. We saw them have that banger match with the Young Bucks, but we have yet to, I mean, we're looking at a team that could be the new Young Bucks.
Yeah.
I mean, Top Flight could be tag team champions. He's so young in his game right now that I feel like, dude, it's the classic, like, we're seeing the Rockers right now. Yeah, Dante could be Shawn Michaels, but they could hold a couple tag team title reigns. That's money in the bank. AEW is so top heavy with talent. Do you want to throw this 20-year-old kid in with the singles action where they're already loaded to the brim? Have them be a competitive tag team for a few years while they're still getting their feet under them. And then when that kid's like 23, 24, 25, when he's really seasoned, and he could be a world champion at this point. I mean, this dude is like phenomenal, and he's super over. So the fact that he's got over by himself, if Top Flight reunites, that tag team is going to be super over. It could be a world title contender. And then when you eventually break them up or split them into singles, then they're both bona fide, like even more. Like, we're saying he's a star, but let's be honest, the kid's young. He's not very good on the mic. He's not ready to be cutting these 5-minute promos in the ring. Like, he needs a lot more seasoning before we christen him the next big singles star.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I always forget about with AEW is the age. Everybody's so damn young.
Oh, yeah.
Give it time. Let's be patient here.
Even MJF's what, 24?
25,
25,
something like
That's
that.
insane. So, like, but I totally agree with he's got all the years ahead of him, so might as well take a breather and take it easy. I would like to see more single stuff out of him, but I'm not against putting the team back together because they were great. Like you said, that Young Bucks match was just phenomenal work. Yeah, so I just imagine what they would be doing in 2 years together.
I mean, dude, and look at how they handled Hangman. Hangman's like 28 years old, I think, and they've taken their time to thrust him into that position, and they've given us 2 years of him. Like, another guy who's in a similar situation as Dante to me is Brian Pillman Jr.
Yeah,
and that's a guy who obviously they're probably kind of queuing him up to be a singles guy, but they're going to let him kind of get into that. And I think, being in a tag team for several years to knock that rookie rust off of you, it's a tried and true formula that's worked in pro wrestling for decades.
Yeah.
It's also, but it's also failed too. I mean, if Darius is, what if he gets injured again, then what? It's happened before where we had these like great tag teams that got together, or not so great tag teams. One of them gets injured, and then they try to come back. They try to establish relevancy, but they just get forgotten or they're not booked. And that primarily happens in WWE, so I guess I'm not expecting it to happen.
Yeah, Dante Martin's not getting forgotten.
Not Dante.
Yeah.
Darius. I get
but here's the thing with that, like that, just to like, to me, that's some like Vince McMahon.
He hates tag team wrestling. So
that's some like, hey, it's not Darius's fault. He got a knee injury. And for them to just throw it like fuck Top Flight, he is in a worse position if they don't reunite. That's really hanging that dude out to dry, because he's just been sitting there. And can you imagine what he feels like sitting at home watching his little brother just like tear it up? Like, I'm sure he is super stoked for his brother, but there's got to be a part of him that's like worried that he's going to be forgotten.
So let me ask you this. This is for all of you. Then do you think it'd be when I don't think they should reunite right away then? If they're going to have this thing with Lio Rush and Dante and then, Darius, do you think it'd be wise for them to have a one-on-one match, brother versus brother, and just get that ring rust off?
I mean, they could do that. I could see where they would, if they brought him in and aligned him with Lio Rush, maybe, if they aligned him and then Dante, and then it becomes something between them. I could see that. I just think that they reunite them against Leo. I think that's the driving fact, that the force that gets him back.
Even if it was like mystery opponent type of thing, or I don't know if my only thing with having him brother against brother, like if you use it right when he comes back, they haven't established themselves as a tag team enough to make us care about that tag team. And then you're blowing that match too early, where if you have them come back, reunite, he saves his brother from Leo Rush or something, and then you build them and get fan support behind them, and then a few years down the road you have that match, the brother versus brother match, then there's more emotion to it. I feel like if you just book that right out of the gate when Darius returns, you're not going to get as much punch.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like even like compared to like a Hardy Boys or Edgy Christian thing, like you seen what happens with Matt Hardy or like a Christian, you know, they blow it off too early,
right?
And then these guys are stuck struggling to establish their own side of the career. So why not build them together before you tear them down? Like that's what you want out of it, and then you make people care about the story behind it. So no matter what happens, neither guy's going to get, you know, shoved down 5 notches. You know, it's going to take a minute. Right. So right. I totally agree with that. But it's interesting to think about. I do think reuniting them and then breaking them up in a year or so, like give it some time, even if it like Leo's with them and he's just like pushing, and they just get sick of the shit, or one of them gets sick of the shit. And he's like, "Come on, man!" But Leo's talking, you know, Dante's ear. He's like, "You're better than this. You don't need him. He's slowing you down, weighing you down, brother. You're gonna see without him." You know, so I think building that up would be more beneficial than just instantly having them come in, fucking destroy the team, tear them apart. Like that's just gonna do nothing but harm the whole overall picture for both of them.
And this is all completely based on if Darius comes back and he hasn't lost a step. If he comes back and that knee injury has taken him down a few notches, then I'm a little more like, you don't want to hold down Dante.
Yeah.
But this is all kind of like standing on Darius still has it. Now, if Darius doesn't have it, he comes back like David was talking about, like, then I'm like, yeah, you don't want to hold down a future superstar, but I think you got to let Darius at least come back and have the opportunity to prove himself.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right, guys, I think it's time. You guys ready to move to the final topic of the evening?
Let's do it.
Let's go. All right. So our final topic of the evening, do TV ratings really matter?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And here's why. I don't think so, just because I believe that people, even if you have like 500,000 viewership, and if you put on a good product, people are going to watch. Because I remember a time where I'm sure you guys remember too, AEW wasn't doing too good in the ratings when I believe the first time they moved to Saturdays, something like that. And
yeah, I know they had some real weeks.
Yeah, the Saturdays they always suffer for sure.
Yeah.
And you know, they did like 400,000. It was like the worst that they ever did, but they still put on good shows, and they're still killing it right now. You know, they're killing it right. I think they killed it like last time they were on Saturday. But I just think, you know, I don't think it's a main thing to keep a promotion alive, because Impact's still around, and nobody's really watching Impact. I know everybody says they are, but nobody's like really watching. So I'm imagining their viewership is at least like 100,000 at least. And, you know, they're still killing it. And from what I've seen, it's pretty good. I just think it doesn't matter as long as if you have a good product and you're entertained by it. Yeah, that is what it is. I understand it on like a business standpoint. The more viewership you get, the more money you get. But as far as like a wrestling promotion, I just don't see the big deal of it. I'd love to get your guys' take on it.
So are we talking, when you say does ratings matter, are you talking, do they matter, should they matter to fans, or do they matter to wrestling in general, like the business of wrestling? Because here's my take. Fans, who gives a fuck? As a fan, I don't care what any show's getting ratings wise.
Yeah.
I'm not dictating what I watch because they do a good rating.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
No, and that's the point I'm making. Because
any fan that's watching because a show has ratings, like, do those fans exist? Like, who gives a fuck about ratings in that regard? But the way I took the question was, do ratings matter? They 100,000% matter, because like ratings are what keep you on television.
Yeah.
Now, like Impact, they're getting, I think they usually average around 100,000 viewers a week, but they're on Access TV. Access TV, that for Access is like, they're the top show on Access. You know what I mean? Like, we love this. They're bringing people in. Now, if you're not pulling ratings, your ass is gone. They don't care how, like, advertisers won't buy ad spots. If TNT, if AEW was doing 50,000 people on a Wednesday, they'd be off TV. You know what I mean? Like, they're not keeping them around just because, well, man, they have really fucking good matches. They don't give a shit. Like, it's all about ratings. I think that is the true testament. Look back to the Attitude Era. That whole thing was a ratings battle. You know, were fans week to week, you know, I was one of those fans. Was I saying like, did Raw win or Nitro win? That'll determine. No, I didn't care. I was just watching what I liked.
Yeah.
But as far as like the business of pro wrestling, 100% ratings are the end all be all, I think, for the business.
I don't think they reflect a lot of like I said, with the numbers being less, I think that reflects more than like higher number. I don't think they matter in a sense that Raw sucks, right? Can we all agree on that? Raw sucks, but they constantly do like over 1 million viewership.
Oh, they do they do like 1.7.
So like, does that I mean, do we really count that? Even like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I understand through the wrestling.
Yeah, that's fucking low for them though.
Yeah.
When you're looking at WWE, dude, you're looking at a company that's been around since the 50s.
Yeah.
They have a built-in, they should be pulling 3 and 4 million. In the Attitude Era, they were pulling 5 and 6 million, and now they're pulling 1.7. That's fucking terrible.
Concerning.
Yeah. No, I think the ratings absolutely matter because it's sponsors. That's how you pay more for more shows. That's how you keep, that's your backbone besides merchandise and stuff like that. I think the real problem is the rating system is broken, and that's the issue now, because it's not 1996. We don't all have one
100%.
cable box with fucking one cable provider.
Yeah,
60 fucking channels. Now it's like 450 channels. Yeah.
How do they do it? Live plus 3 days or live plus 7 days, like whatever it is. Like
there's. I think it's plus 3 is. Plus 3.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's plus 3, but still, I think that's the I don't think they really count all the shit. Like, there's people that watch shows on Netflix. They don't necessarily watch them the week it debuts. It takes them. People got fucking lives and stuff going on. So I think popularity standpoint, it doesn't matter as a fan. I don't give a fuck what any company's doing. Like you could put Kenny Omega versus Okada on national television, but if it's not getting the viewership, nobody's gonna give a fuck. So like that's the ratings are just your viewership statistic. And
the bad thing is it kind of dictates, as much as you hate to say it, like if someone pops a huge rating, ratings dictate booking, and don't let anyone tell you they don't. Like Tony Khan and them look at the fucking quarter hours, the every 15 minutes. Okay, what did Britt Baker's segment do? If they're seeing Vince, Tony Khan, Scott D'Amore from Impact, if they're looking at a quarter hour and they're like, holy shit, when Orange Cassidy's on, the fucking ratings went through the roof.
Yeah,
they're going to book them more. So not all, but I'm with you, Mike. Like, I don't care about ratings at all, but it does dictate a lot of shit in wrestling.
I just that's the one thing that bothers me about ratings. That's what kind of makes me cringe whenever I see somebody bring up ratings like on Twitter or stuff like that. oh, they did so and so this rating. Oh, they beat Raw in this demographic. I don't like that because it's like, to me, I don't give a shit either. That's why I'm saying, like, it doesn't.
Yeah.
No, ratings don't dictate quality per se,
No.
but ratings definitely dictate money and even booking to some regard.
Now, did they just matter to the bigger companies? Because nobody ever talks about how Impact does or how even New Japan does.
Yeah.
Nobody ever does that.
I mean, nobody's talking about them because they don't matter. No one would be talking about in the grand scheme of this AEW versus WWE. That's why the fans are so hell bent on Brian Alvarez or Dave Meltzer dropping the ratings every week, because there's this built in, like, I'm AEW, I'm WWE tribalism going on, which is fine.
Yeah.
And Impact isn't even in the discussion of that. Everyone knows
Yeah.
they're not even close to pulling those numbers because they're on Access TV. Now, if Impact Wrestling was on NBC on a Thursday night, then maybe
It'd probably be over. Yeah.
They'd be
But
talking.
they were on a pretty established channel before that called Pop.
Yeah.
Shit. I mean, even on Spike TV, they
Or
weren't
Spike.
drawing big numbers. They
Dude.
were only hitting, like, I mean, for Spike TV, I guess it would be like 900,000. Like, there was a while they were doing good.
When at the height of that Aces and Eights angle, this is what's crazy, and this isn't saying that their popularity was such. It's showing you how people have changed and how they view. But when TNA was on Spike TV, right before they made the decision to go head to head with Raw on Monday nights, they were pulling 2.1, 2.2, 2.3 million.
Mhm.
But like you brought up, Mike, that was a different time. People consume the product differently. And I think that's the big thing, is like, people, you can't look at a rating and be like, I don't think the ratings dictate the popularity right now. Like,
No.
because, AEW does 1.1. There's a lot more people watching that shit than 1.1 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it might be different through different formats. It might be 7 days later, but I feel like that fan base is a lot bigger. And my last point, and I'll shut up, is the biggest thing, man, is if you're not pulling big ratings, the whole reason the production's paid for, the whole reason all of these guys are getting big contracts, is because Fox goes out and pays $1 billion television deal.
Yeah.
It's because TNT pays a $200 million deal, or however much they paid AEW. Like, Tony Khan has even came out and said the television deal, the 3-year extension they did with TNT, that was how they survived the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has money to but he said he really leaned on that TNT money. So that's a big thing, man. That's how Vince and Tony aren't just like throwing their own money away. These television deals are how they pay for shit.
Yeah. And to go back a little bit, that's why demographics are so important, because Raw might be pulling like a 2 or like a 1.7, but it's all, family orientated households and stuff like that. You got the 18 to, what is it, 40 or 18 to 32?
49.
Yeah.
49 demographic. Those are all, we're looking at different age. Most of those, that demographic buys toys for themselves now. They
Right.
collect, they're willing to spend their money on shows, TV, subscription packages, all that shit. So that demographic's more important than the number itself, because you're hitting the target audience that actually wants to, put themselves into your product more.
Right.
So this is a stupid question, or it might be. Then, in that sense, do ratings really matter, or is money that matters? Or
They
both?
could go hand in hand.
Well, yeah, ratings brings the money.
Yeah.
Cash, controversy creates cash, man.
Ratings bring the money. It's like, dude, it's not just wrestling.
No.
I mean, it's TV shows. Like, that's why TV shows get canceled. It's because nobody's fucking watching it.
Yeah.
And advertisers, Coca-Cola, Chevrolet, Ford, whatever it is, McDonald's,
Budweiser.
see the show that's like, fuck, man, 2 million people are watching this every Monday night. And they're like, we put our ads on there, and they might buy our shit, and that's where the money comes from.
Except for Domino's.
Have you ever watched a show that was like so good, and then next thing you know, it didn't get renewed for a second season or stuff like that?
Oh, all the time.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, but you would think that your perception of it would be like, oh, the ratings should be like killer, right? And they usually are, but it still didn't get renewed for a second season.
Dude, there's so many great shows that for whatever reason didn't catch on, and I'm sitting here like Freaks and Geeks. I love that.
Yeah,
show.
I fucking love Freaks and Geeks.
That
Is a
show
great
was canceled in one season. I'm like, how the fuck did no one watch this show?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with movies, dude. But from a box office standpoint, like Dazed and Confused hit the movie theaters. It was a flop. And now everyone's like, that's one of the greatest movies of all time. It's like, just because, ratings and popularity, that doesn't dictate the quality of the product. It's that they didn't advertise it right. They didn't get it out there. People just didn't connect to it. Like sometimes you think like your opinion, like it's good, so everyone should be watching it.
Yeah.
Maybe everybody doesn't think like you. Cause I think if everyone thought like me, AEW would be doing 10 million every fucking Wednesday.
Yeah, agreed.
And Thursday, fucking
yeah.
All right, fellas. Well, I think that's probably going to wrap us up for the evening. David, tell everybody where they can find you guys.
All right, so I am everywhere almost. I got Twitter. You can find me on Twitter, which is at the PW Pod, and Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I post like almost every day. That's at the Pro Wrestling Podcast, so same name. And then you can find me on YouTube. I just did a excellent top tier interview with Jasmine Allura. I can't say her last name right, but it was a great interview. You can find me on YouTube with the same name, the Pro Wrestling Podcast. So
awesome, man.
Give me a follow, guys.
Absolutely.
I love the Instagram because you keep up with a lot of current news. So if you're just looking for a site that like keeps you updated with what's going on, your Instagram's really good, man.
Yeah, I do. I try to do it all, man. Current news, memes, you name it.
Awesome.
Love it. All right, guys.
Do it.
Well, that's going to wrap us up for the evening. Make sure you guys go give the Pro Wrestling Podcast a follow. We'll be back with you again on next Monday for another episode of the Turnbuckle Debate. Hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you later. Court is dismissed.